Welcome to another hearing of the Trump Impeachment Committee. This committee used to be formerly known as the House Intelligence Committee. I'll begin by noting there's no reason for this hearing to be held in public except to stir up media interest in the Democrats' latest publicity stunt, their attack on the leadership of the Department of Homeland Security. The only reason Mr. Maher is here and subpoenaed here today is leverage. It's meant to force DHS to rush through top secret security clearances without the appropriate background checks. In fact, there was no reason for the Democrats to make this whistleblower complaint public at all. But of course, handling whistleblower complaints with discretion, as this committee had always done before this Congress, is not helpful for publicity stunts. So here we go again. Let's recall the Democrats on this committee were at the forefront of the Russian collusion hoax. For years, they falsely claimed they'd found secret evidence of Trump's conspiracy with Russia. They issued memos defending the FISA warrant to spy on Trump associates, and they even tried to get nude pictures of Trump from Russian pranksters. They also touted the credibility of the Steele dossier that they had paid for themselves, the Democratic National Committee and the Clinton campaign. They even read the Steele dossier into this committee's congressional record during hearings in the past. After a 2-year investigation, however, Special Counsel Mueller failed to find the secret collusion evidence the Democrats claimed to secretly possess. And since then, we've learned that the Steele dossier the Democrats championed was a mix of fake stories, rumors, barroom gossip, and jokes collected by a suspected Russian spy at the behest of the Democratic National Committee and the Hillary Clinton campaign. Furthermore, the Department of Justice Inspector General found the FISA warrant application that the Democrats defended for years was riddled with mistakes, omissions, even withheld exculpatory evidence, and relied on a doctored email hiding a Trump associate's past cooperation with the U.S. intelligence agency. The Democrats have not called a single hearing to investigate any of these issues, even though this committee is supposedly dedicated to overseeing the intelligence community and investigating abuses. They've held a hearing on global warming, but don't care about documented corruption of the FISA process or suspected Russian agents compiling political dirt for the Democratic Party. After Mueller testified to this committee and again failed to expose the mythical collusion conspiracy, the Democrats suddenly switched tracks and impeached President Trump based on an anonymous whistleblower complaint from a bureaucrat who we later learned had coordinated his attack with the Democratic staff of, you guessed it, this very committee, despite the Democrats insisting they had never had any contact with this whistleblower. Although the Democrats brought our oversight work to a halt for months and completely transformed this committee into an impeachment committee, even holding ridiculous secret depositions that were leaked nightly to their media stooges, followed by public show trials with the witnesses they found most useful. The impeachment of the House was such a transparent fraud that not a single Republican voted for it. After the collapse of the Russian collusion hoax and the failure to oust President Trump via impeachment, the Democrats suddenly ginned up a new investigation, issued their usual slew of press releases, and have now forced us into an open hearing. And it's certainly amusing that although this complaint is supposed to be handled by the Inspector General first, the Democrats have dispensed with the IG as an unnecessary middleman. Probably because the IG investigations take time and the Democrats are operating on an election deadline. This all has a familiar ring to it. Almost all the Democrats are following a playbook. I would note that usually you don't follow a playbook from a game that you've lost multiple times. But once again, they are pushing into the limelight a complaint by a whistleblower. Small world. It may seem that the whistleblower has some credibility problems. After all, the whistleblower sent an email directly contradicting his allegations. Furthermore, the Democrats themselves called him a liar just a few weeks before he filed his complaint. Even threatened to criminally refer the whistleblower. But now, suddenly, he's their star witness. Nevertheless, I doubt my Democratic colleagues will breeze right past these contradictions and that the media mouthpieces won't draw any attention to these awkward problems, just like they'll ignore the testimony of multiple career officials delivered during the interviews that we've scheduled and conducted over the last few months, which directly contradicts their new whistleblower's claims. So here we go again, indulging the Democrats' dream that they'll find the holy grail of scandals that finally gets rid of Trump without beating him in the election. Of course, foreign threats and intelligence challenges don't grind to a halt while they pursue these sick fantasies. And this one is clearly sick. We've had violence all over this country, and it involves a bizarre sympathy for Antifa. They've been burning down many of our country's major cities. I know some view Antifa as an idea. Thankfully, the Trump administration does not. Yield back.